what is a compelling job description? Talks about your company. You have 3 to 5 key things selling the candidate on why they should work for you. No commute greater than an hour, guaranteed overtime. Like, what are the 3? If I was in an elevator with you and you're trying to recruit me to work for your company, hey, I work for XYZ Roofing. Oh, you'd love this company, man. I get, like, what are the 3 things? I get guaranteed overtime. If my wife, when she was pregnant, they the whole time, they gave me family leave, and they've got this amazing growth plan. Like, I can bonus 20% of my salary, right? Like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I want to apply. So, job description. When you're posting, understanding where to post. So, LinkedIn, huge resource. Really understanding and optimizing LinkedIn.
And I want to talk about that for a second. As we talk about channels, I think, I got even myself at times for certain roles, I think, man, they're probably not on LinkedIn. They didn't go to college, so they probably don't, have that as a channel that they're on. Like, what's your opinion? You think that LinkedIn's awesome, and you're talking about masonry, so let's understand that a little bit more.
Well, so in the course, we have 37 proven ways to find candidates.
There you go.
So it's, the if you've ever been fishing, that sometimes more lines and hooks in the water, the more likely you are to get a fish. And so the game of hiring is it's not always about scalability. I'm not trying to catch 10 fish from this one spot with this one worm. I'm trying to catch one fish, reel it in, and then reevaluate my strategy. I might even go home. I might say I got a big one. I'm good for the day, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that mindset, like, we still hire people off of Craigslist. I found very qualified people off of Craigslist. I found senior, roles in the company off of Craigslist, maybe once every year and a half, my construction company. But it doesn't mean that it's not a viable channel. And so the harder it is to find something, the more diversified you want to be. So it's posting on, if you're not posting to 15 to 20 different job boards, including LinkedIn, you're limiting your chances right off the gate. And then if you are doing that, now it's about, how are you tracking the data? Where are the candidates coming from? And one thing we do for clients when we do this process for them is we keyword and headline test. So we're working with the algorithms. We're trying different headlines. Some might be a touch more corporate. Some might be a little bit more nail on the head, top pay, hiring masons, versus like, growing fourth generation business seeking, qualified masonry applicants. Like, we might try different things because it's just about getting that click in their attention in that first phase, right? We're not, the job description's duty is to sell them on the next phase. The headline is to say, ooh, what's this job?
Yeah. So obviously, glad that you mentioned that this is something that you're helping people with. You've already mentioned a course as well. It just seems like a lot to manage as a business owner when I'm running around also doing the projects, also handling my current employees. And I'm looking for this one fit that I need in the next 2 weeks because we got the job starting. Um, what are some things like ATS, applicant tracking software? Is that something that you recommend people use? What are some tools that people can use to, post to all these different channels and manage the listings and the applicants, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, this is why we started what we do. We never intended to help companies with this, so it happened by accident. We built a course. Basically, my goal was to package all this stuff up, system, right? How do you find them? How do you vet them? How do you hire them? And how do you retain them? And then we got a little bit of hate online when we were advertising the beginning part of it. They're like, if you're so good, fake guru, why don't you just do this for us? And so that stemmed a question in my head, which was, well, maybe we should look into that. And so, if you're doing it yourself, I think the big thing is you got to find somebody that's dedicated to doing this, because it needs time every day, right? Like, if we brush our teeth every day, right? We don't wake up and think, maybe I won't shower today. Like, it's an everyday thing. It just has to happen. And this, going back to our original point about the org chart, right? Most company, I want to go from 1 million to 3 million. Well, the revenue is typically out there, depending on where you are. You just look at the number of competitors you have. So we find usually it's infrastructure and people that hold you back from getting there. So if it is a big opportunity, that's how you solve it. So, you need someone that's dedicated, because speed to lead is super important. So a resume comes in. Like, if we're doing this for a company, we get back to every candidate within 3 to 5 minutes, and we have a call that usually within 24 hours, set, ready to go. And we're able to go through resumes that you can't, if you come at this from the mindset you're looking for a needle in a haystack, which is what it is, you'll look for a needle in a haystack. And what I mean by that is we hired for a company recently. One of the things I saw was we hired a project manager. He was a teacher for 4 years. That was his most recent career. But if you scroll down on his resume, he had 12 years of project management experience. If you weren't really looking at the resume closely and then had the time to call that person, the average, employer, me 3 years ago, I'm like, teacher for 3 years? Yeah, they don't know construction. Boom, next. This was a phenomenal candidate making career shifts because of changes in their family. But it's about, having that dedicated person that can manage the applicant tracking system, manage the job postings, respond to candidates within 3 to 10 minutes, schedule same day interviews, follow up interviews, background checks, reference checks, candidate, rejection process, because that protects your brand. You don't want to, not properly let somebody know they're not a good fit. So I think that's the hard conversation that we have to have with business owners is whether you hire someone like us or you do it yourself. Like you got to find somebody who's going to check the box and say, I own hiring. And that fundamentally is where a lot of businesses have a huge opportunity. Who owns hiring in your company? Like who is responsible if hiring doesn't progress this month? Who are you pointing a finger at? And usually what you'll find is it's like, well, my project manager does some of the interviews and, Jack in the office
Yeah.
does the job postings and then Michaela helps when she can. And it's like, okay, so you're going to get 10 people in a room and yell at all of them? That
Yeah.
doesn't seem, it's everybody, it's nobody.